All right, diving right in. We're talking kayaks today. Specifically, two kayaks that got pretty passionately debated on the Motor City Paddle Club podcast.
Oh, yeah. Jason and Melissa, they really went head to head on this one, each with their favorite kayak, convinced it's the best.
They did. Jason's all about the feel-free Lure 10 V2.
And Melissa, she's Team Crescent CK1 all the way.
So we're breaking it all down for you. What makes each kayak unique? And more importantly, by the end of this, you'll have a better idea of which kayak might be your perfect match, even if racing isn't really your thing.
Right. Because let's face it, choosing a kayak, it's personal. Like, what's your style? What do you want to DO out there on the water?
Totally. And these two hosts, they definitely make their preferences clear. Melissa even nicknamed the Lure 10 V2.
The floating sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catchy, right? So what is it about the Lure 10 that screams, like, cozy living room?
Well, Jason, he's all about comfort. Big on that. And the Lure 10, it delivers. Especially that gravity seat.
Okay, tell me more about this magical seat.
It's got tons of adjustments. Like, you can find the perfect angle, get the back support just right for those longer paddles.
Ah, so not just lounging, but like ergonomic lounging.
Exactly. Plus, the Lure's got a wide hull, super stable. Jason even jokes you can practically dance on it.
But I'm not sure I'd be busting a move out there. But I can see how that stability would be amazing for someone new to kayaking, or if you want to, like, take pictures or do some fishing, you know.
Absolutely. That rock-solid feel is key for that kind of stuff. And then there's those Unitrack rails they've got.
Okay, Unitrack rails. I'm listening.
Basically, endless customization. Attach all sorts of accessories, rod holders if you're fishing.
What else?
Even cup holders. Jason's a big fan of that.
Got to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
So the Lure 10 V2, it's all about, like, a customizable chill experience, right?
Pretty much. Your own little haven out on the water. Deck it out however you want.
Sounds pretty dreamy. Okay, we've got the floating sofa down. Now, on to Melissa's pick, the Crescent CK1, which she calls...
You guessed it, the Ferrari of kayaks.
Ah, okay, so we're talking speed here.
Big time. The CK1, it's built for performance lightweight, cuts through the water like a dream. Super responsive to every paddle stroke you make.
So, like, agility and maneuverability are the name of the game here.
Exactly. Great for covering distances or exploring those twisty waterways.
I love how those nicknames, like, perfectly sum up each kayak.
Right.
It's like they reflect the paddlers themselves.
I know, it's so true. And it just shows your personality, your paddling style.
Yeah.
Huge part of finding the right kayak.
Totally. So unlike Jason, Melissa isn't into, like, a full dining setup on her kayak.
Nope. CK1 is all about minimalism efficiency, connecting with the water directly.
So more of a purist's kayak then.
Well, not necessarily. It's pretty versatile, too. Melissa talks about using it solo, but also bringing her dog along or carrying gear. It's about having what you need, no extra fluff, adaptable, you know?
Okay, so not a floating sofa, but still super practical in its own way.
Exactly. And that's what makes this comparison so fascinating. Two kayaks, they seem totally different on the surface. But dig a little deeper, and it's like they both have their own strengths, depending on what you prioritize.
Yeah, it really comes down to what you're looking for in your time on the water.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the key, right? Figuring out what your priorities are out there. Are you all about performance? Or setting up your own little relaxation station? Or, like, somewhere in between.
I love how you put that, because it's not just about the kayak, right? It's the whole experience you want to create.
Exactly. And you know what's really interesting? How Jason and Melissa's personalities kind of shine through in their kayak choices.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about that.
Well, Jason, right. With his love for the floating sofa, all those bells and whistles. It's like he's all about taking it easy out there, maxing out comfort, having everything right at hand, you know. Snacks, fishing rod. Remember how he was talking about the cup holder?
Oh, yeah. Definitely not roughing it. More like enjoying the ride.
Exactly. He even compared the Lure to a Cadillac at one point, like smooth cruising, you know?
Yeah, I get that vibe. Now, Melissa, total opposite, right? She's all about that sleek CK1, that need for speed.
Totally. More adventurous, I'd say. That feeling of gliding through the water, exploring. She even called it her sports car.
And she was teasing Jason about his full dining setup, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. She's minimalist all the way. Essentials only. Got to maximize that performance.
It's fascinating how those choices, like, go beyond just kayaking. You know, it's like, how would they plan a vacation?
Ooh, I like that. Let's think about that.
Jason, I'm picturing detailed itinerary packed for every scenario. Comfort is king.
Totally. Noise-canceling headphones, travel pillow, the works.
Whereas Melissa, backpack, jumps in her Ferrari, hit the road, see what happens.
Definitely. Map with all the scenic routes, ready for anything.
Right. It all circles back to that question. What experience you're after? Predictability, comfort, or that sense of freedom and spontaneity.
Exactly. It's amazing how much these choices can reveal, huh? About us, how we approach things.
And it's a good reminder. There's no right or wrong answer here, just what works for you.
Totally. Now, speaking of working for you, let's talk stability for a minute. Especially for anyone new to kayaking, that's a biggie.
It is. I mean, first time out there, I'd want to feel secure, not like I'm about to tip over every second.
Exactly. And that's where the Lure 10 shines, that wide hull. It's super stable, hard to capsize, even if you're a total beginner.
Makes sense. So you can focus on learning the ropes, enjoying the scenery, not freaking out.
Right. And if you want to do things like fishing or bird watching, where you might need to move around a bit, maybe even stand up, that stability is key.
Yeah, I can see why Jason, with his whole relaxed vibe, would love the Lure 10. It's like
Yeah.
stability lets you really embrace that floating sofa thing without worrying.
Exactly. Now, the CK1, not quite as wide or stable, obviously, but it still strikes a good balance.
So even though Melissa might be okay with a little less stability, because she's experienced and loves that agility,
Yeah.
the CK1 is still safe and reliable for her. Right?
Exactly. And that's important to remember. Any kayak, you got to have some level of stability for safety. It's about finding that sweet spot that works for you. Stability and performance.
Makes sense. So if you're more experienced, looking for a kayak that's fun to maneuver, the CK1 could be great. But you got to be honest with yourself. How much stability do you need?
Absolutely. And honestly, trying out different kayaks is the best way to go. Lots of
Yeah.
places do demo days, paddle a few, get a feel for it.
Great tip. Now, I want to circle back to something you said before about how kayak choices can reflect, like bigger life approaches.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool how these little things, they tell us so much about what we value.
It's true. And that's important to remember for any decision, right? Not just kayaks, vacations, even jobs.
So how can someone use that idea when they're looking for a kayak?
Self-awareness, I think. Take a moment. Think about your personality. What do you really value in an experience? Are you a comfort person? Predictability? Like having all the gadgets? Or are you all about adventure, keeping it simple, efficient?
And once you know your why, as they say,
Hmm.
you can narrow down the choices. Look for kayaks that fit those values.
Exactly. It's got to feel like an extension of you? A kayak that lets you experience the water in a way that makes you happy.
That's a great way to put it. I think this is a good spot to wrap up part 2. We've covered a lot of ground here. Features, personalities, finding that balance between stability and all that.
We have.
We'll be right back with the final part of our kayak showdown, where we'll bring all this together and help you navigate the world of kayak choices.
And we're back. After all that kayak talk, I'm really feeling ready to hit the water myself.
Me too. It's amazing how choosing a kayak, it's not just about, like, specs. It's
Yeah.
about finding one that matches you, your style. Right. And listening to Jason and Melissa, with all their back and forth, it really highlighted that it's not about one kayak being better. It's about how different people connect with the whole experience.
It is. It's like some people love hiking up mountains, others like a nice stroll in the park. Both are great. It depends what you're looking for.
I like that. So for someone who's maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the choices out there, where should they even start?
I'd say picture yourself out on the water. What does your perfect kayaking day look like? Are you by yourself? Exploring? Fishing with a friend? What's the setting? Calm lake? A river? Out on the ocean?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's easy to get lost in all the details. But starting with the experience you want, that helps a lot.
Totally. Once you have that vision, then you can start thinking about what kind of kayak fits that vision. For example, if you're picturing long, peaceful paddles on a calm lake, maybe stability and comfort are your top priorities, like with that feel-free Lure 10 V2.
But if you're imagining yourself navigating a winding river, then speed and maneuverability might be more important, like what the Crescent CK1 offers.
Exactly. And that's where Jason and Melissa's debate comes in. They show how different features work for different styles. Think back to what stood out to you about their choices. What did you agree with?
Yeah, it's not just about the kayak itself, right? It's how it enables the experience.
Yeah.
Are you drawn to that decked-out floating sofa vibe, all comfy, all the gadgets? Or does that minimalist, speedy sports car on the water sound more exciting?
And don't be afraid to try things out. If you can, rent different kayaks, Paddle them. It's the best way to figure out what you truly like. You might be surprised.
Absolutely. And if you want to really dive deeper into all things kayaks,
Yeah.
I highly recommend checking out the Motor City Paddle Club website. They have tons of great resources, info on different types, even events where you can meet other kayakers.
That's a great idea. Connecting with other paddlers, it's a great way to learn, get tips, even find some paddling buddies.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive, here's one last thing to think about. Imagine yourself. You're launching your kayak. You feel that little rocking motion, the sun, the excitement. Now look down. What kayak are you in? Where are you going?
Let that image guide you as you explore all the options. Embrace the whole journey. Find the kayak that fits your vision and create your own amazing stories out there on the water.
Happy paddling, everyone.